Hi there, I'm James Spencer Boyce and welcome to the Total Waterpolo Podcast. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's episode. Today we're joined by a really exciting young player who's had a really promising start to his career. His journey to the top of the game has been fascinating really. From Georgia, he moved to Serbia as a teenager to play for Sabac before a brief spell at Spandau in Germany. But it was a hugely significant move to his current club, Novi Beograd, as a foreigner no less, that has taken his game to the next level. He's a very mature and thoughtful player. He's a left-hander and he's a key player and a leader for his national team, aged just 23. Today's guest on the show is of course Nika Shushiashvili, and here's what's coming up next.
Yeah, Novi Beograd called out of nowhere. I believe it was 11 o'clock night or something like that I got a call, very unusual foreign call, and they told me like, hey, this is Novi Beograd, we are interested in bringing you in. As we spoke, it made more and more sense to make this transition. I can only say good things about them. I felt home. He has this energy that wherever we go, you can notice Igor is there. He is in the room. He has this aura with him. We're just looking to our next game. The hopes are high. We believe in ourselves. I think we are a better team than last season. But the real test will be the serious games that are coming. And we'll see.
I don't need to remind you to like, subscribe, rate or review the show. Nor do I need to remind you that Podcast 10 is our discount code at wearwaterpolo.com for 10% off your next order. But let's get on with the show. And this is Nika Shushiashvili. A very warm welcome to Nika Shushiashvili. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Good, fine. Thank you. What about you?
Yeah. I'm really, really good. And I'm really pleased that we can finally have you on the podcast. You've just come back from training, I believe.
Yes, I just finished. Thank you for inviting, first of all. I'm very pleased to be here talking to you. So thanks.
No, the honour's ours, and we've got a lot to talk about, of course. And I guess we will start maybe from how you got into the sport and kind of your younger years and your early years. I know from my research that your family were big swimmers. You love the water, both parents, grandparents, and I think your brother as well. But when did that turn into water polo?
Yeah, so your research is absolutely right. My whole family is into water sports and mostly swimming. And my grandfather was actually my first coach as a swimming coach. But for me, I saw my older brother that he was training water polo, slowly starting at a little bit later age of 12 or 13. And I liked what he was doing. It was not just boring swimming. It was more with the ball, more some fun exercises. And I asked my parents to go and try water polo, and it turned out fine. I mean, I followed my brother. My brother is not playing anymore, but he gave me the push to step into the sport that I love and enjoy until this day.
Yeah. Do you remember your first memory? Do you remember the first time or your first positive memory of water polo? I mean, everyone that swims hates swimming, so that's why we start water polo generally. So
Yeah.
do you remember the first time you really thought, yeah, this sport's for me?
Actually, I know. I told my mother that after first practice, it was Saturday, and on Saturdays we would usually play. I was 9 year old who could only just swim, but I remember scoring 2 goals. That was you can imagine the level of kids that were allowing me to score the ball for the first time. But I was so happy. I enjoyed every moment of it, and I told my mother that yeah, this is the sport I wanted to do because I was doing a couple sports together, and this first experience of water polo changed everything and got my mind into just water polo at the moment.
Yeah, well, I don't think those 2 goals the first time you played were beginner's luck. But you
Yes.
said you're doing other sports. I assume they're the classic, maybe like football or
Actually not.
basketball.
Actually
No,
not. I
no.
always wanted to play football as a kid, but I never had a chance to do it. But I was in some school class of karate and swimming, obviously, training with my grandfather like 2 times a day. Pretty tough trainings for that age, but I think it's also helped me to keep my swimming let's say, level up until this.
You say karate. We'll definitely come back to that later. But in terms of water polo and sport in Georgia, where does that rank in terms of kids getting into the sport? Water polo in general is not a hugely popular sport, really, relatively
No,
anywhere apart from maybe a few countries. But what's it like in Georgia?
unfortunately, it's not popular. Back in the day, not a lot of kids were going at water polo. Now maybe it's even more, and some projects are getting involved in. But when I started it was just the beginning of water polo in Georgia, because in 2009, I believe, the national team of Georgia assembled once more, the senior national team, and they started preparing to go on to European Championships and to do some results. And it's brought us here a long way. But I think back in the day, it was just if your parents, if your friends, and if your classmates were going in water polo, then you would do and try. But it was not like mostly famous and popular sport to do, even though it was known to be healthy and good activity for a kid.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But obviously, you were very good at the sport from the day that you scored those two goals um, when you first started playing. There's a pathway into the national team. Can you explain what it's like in Georgia? How you join the junior national teams and then go on to play for the senior national team?
Yeah, actually, it was not very smooth sailing for me, I would say, because I remember a lot of kids were better than me, obviously, but it's reality that they were looked to be better players and they were talented. And in national team, I was the only left-hander in the team, so I was playing, but I was not the main guy, and not even in under 17 or under 19 teams. Okay, my age, 99, 2000, I was, but first two generations, it was a little bit tough for me. But I was still with the team. I was training. I was learning a lot, and that got me to the national team of Georgia, the senior national team. And slowly, from the age of 16, I started to play some games, and by the years passed, it was more and more and more. And now I'm a constant member of the national team that I'm very proud of.
Mm. You said something
And
interesting there. Obviously, you play on the right side as a left-hander. Um, do you think you get more opportunities as a left-hander? I ask this question to every left-hander I ever see, but do you think there is something to it that there's not as many left-handers? It's a position that lots of coaches absolutely love to have a left-hander on, and it adds so much to the game. Do you think you got more opportunities as a young player?
I believe so. I believe so. It helps a lot because it's a important position, the right wing, that is controlling the ball more and trying to pass the ball around and start the attack, let's say, counter attack. And as a left hander, it's more comfortable to do it. And every coach basically values its left handers. Even Greece, that was playing many years without one, had a left hander in European Championship, which indicates that if you got a player that can use his left hand and do good things for the team, you would want him. And I think it helped me a lot. It's something that I was born with. But still, it's a nice thing to have.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a difficult position to play, and it's a very specific position as well, and I don't think lots of people really understand that. But um, obviously, in Georgia, there are a few teams, and the standard is better than it maybe was a few years ago. You came through Dynamo, I believe.
Yep.
What would you say about the club there? What kind of state would you say it's in, and what would you say the state is of a lot of the other clubs? How good are they? What kind of level are they on at the moment?
Yeah, so Dynamo basically is the best club of Georgia now, and but it had its tough times. I believe it was in 1938 that it was created, but a lot of years it was not existent, barely surviving in young generations only. And a couple of ex-national team players, three of them actually, found some investors and put a lot of work to it to get Dinamo back to its level that it deserves. And it's the biggest project of the club league in Georgia by now. They're doing great things. They're obviously playing Champions League, that is amazing for young generations, and it was also good for me. That I was lucky to be in the team back then, and yeah, I think they are amazing for Georgian water polo what they're doing now, and also implementing a lot of it to the young generations. And to say about the other teams, it's obviously helping to have one good team and to try to follow their lead and compete with them. That helped back 4 years ago. The Georgian league started to be more interesting. The national team players who were playing Champions League in Dinamo split it. I was part of it. Split it into a couple teams, and in Georgian championships we would play as a different team members. So basically, that gave a lot of firepower to the league. Of course, it's a small league that you don't have a lot of games, but it was still interesting, and it's expanding now. And the other teams are getting created and sponsored, and I hope in a couple of years we would have interesting Georgian championship.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and that's a really kind of admirable thing to do from Dynamo to split the teams up and to raise the level of the
Yes.
whole league in general. That's really good. Um, okay, well we might talk about Georgia, the league, and the standard of polo later. I know we've got a few questions. We've got a lot of questions, in fact, from people from Georgia, but maybe we'll talk about your blueprint, the blueprint that I call it a blueprint to making it to the top of the sport, which you have. And I mean, we do have a question from on Instagram. Normally, I leave them to the second part, but I'll ask this one now because it fits in nicely. From Singing NGO, who asks, "How did you manage to become a world class player but not coming from a country of the Big Seven?" So Georgia's not a is not a Big Seven club, but I mean they did finish eighth at the European um, Championships, and a top 10 finish at the World Championships. I think is really really good. Um, I'm not sure many people know outside of maybe Serbia, kind of your story, but obviously you left Georgia and went to Sabac, and then you went to Spandau, and then eventually you're now in Belgrade with Novi Beograd. But maybe if we just talk through kind of what happened after
Yeah.
your junior European Championships. You moved to Sabac in Serbia. How did that come about? How good was that experience playing for that club?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the comment and thanks for the compliment that this person told me. Obviously, I'm trying to get my level up, but I'm far away from my goal. And to continue on that note, yeah, Shabbat was amazing experience. It was my first abroad team. Me and one more guy from Georgia uh, went to play there. It was with a lot of help of our back then national team coach Jovan Popovic, who recommended us there and made sure we were doing okay there. And it was amazing experience. We played a lot of games. First time in my life that I had fully committed season. The second league of Adriatic League. We passed in the first league. It was big success for the club, and I would be not lying to say that we were the first initial group of people back in 2017-18, I believe it was. Uh, no, 18-19. That we did a lot of good results with the team, and it helped them push the level, and they are still holding that and adding on that our success. And after that, I had my obligations with national team of Georgia, obviously, under 19, my age. That was very important to me, and I had to leave the club early. So last 1.5 month I was not there. I was absent, playing on qualifications of European Championships and etc. Some tournaments with the national team. So I had to leave early, but they helped me to make this transition, the Shabbos team, and I ended up in Germany, where my brother was working at the moment. Uh, One, my dear friend, Georgian water polo player as well, is was playing there in Neukölln, and I went to try out in Neukölln to see if I can continue my career there. Obviously, not thinking about Spandau, but it's they're training on the same pool. We had a chance to go on the trainings with them because we were missing one practice. So I ended up in Spandau. I ended up on training of Spandau. They needed a player in that day. They didn't have enough players. I practiced once, and Petar Kovacevic, the coach of Spandau, noticed me, asked me what am I going to do next season, if I would like to come back for one more week to try out once again. But for Spandau, obviously, I was very happy about it, and I accepted it. Spoke to the club and decided to continue my career there. Unfortunately, it didn't go as planned. I had some problems with visa. I had some problems to stay in the country, and I was still looked at as a Georgian guy, a young guy who might play something in future, but still is not helping a team at a certain level to be in the Champions League squad. And I went back to Georgia. Fortunately, Dinamo started its own campaign, and I was part of it. They gave me the amazing opportunity to compete in Champions League on the highest level, and I had a pretty nice season there. And Novi Beograd was a good transition because after COVID, after everything that happened, many things were uncertain. And yeah, Novi Beograd called out of nowhere. It appears to be Petar Kovacevic again, my coach in Spandau, that recommended me, said that I was a good young left-handed player who could help the team. And for me, it was amazing offer. I could never imagine to go in Novi Belgrade, where back in the day, okay, Novi Belgrade didn't have many like big name, but I knew that Milos Chuk was playing there. The team was amazing. The youngs, the so it was kind of obvious move for me. Spoke to my family, to my wife, that we needed that transfer to make happen. Dinamo helped me with that, and yeah, I just stick with the team, and we are here now. That's the story.
I heard that when you got the phone call, it was actually your dad's birthday party.
Yes,
Were you?
yes, it was.
I hope you weren't like really drunk when you picked up the phone and like, oh,
No, no,
who is
no.
it?
It was.
What were you thinking when uh, Novi Beograd phoned up? Because I mean, as you said,
Yeah.
they weren't, 10, 15 years ago. They weren't even founded. I don't think, but they
Yes.
have invested an awful lot, and you can see the players they have now, and you've kind of seen the development that they've gone through, bringing some really, really top players, including yourself, to the club. Um, how crazy was it hearing that they were interested?
Yeah, it was very weird actually because okay, it was small family celebration. I was not drunk, but uh, I believe it was 11 o'clock at night or something like that that I got a call, very unusual foreign call, and they told me like, "Hey, this is Novi Belgrade. We are interested in bringing you in." Petar Kovacevic told us that you're free. I was like, I'm not free. I'm playing Dinamo, but okay, let's hear what you got because I was totally not expecting that call. But as we spoke, it made more and more sense to make this transition. And yeah, I mean, here we are.
Did you speak to your national team coach about moving to Serbia?
Yes, I did.
And
It was Revas Chomarhice,
yeah,
and he gave me some good advices that I'm sticking to them.
yeah, yeah.
Even now, I really appreciate him as a coach, as a person, and of course, he's one of the best, if not the best, water polo player of all time in Georgia. And great players of the world, history of water polo,
Hmm.
and his opinion was very important to me, and he told me to go for it, and I just did it.
Yeah, of course. And okay, you obviously had experience in Serbia before. You obviously played abroad in Germany as well. But in terms of Serbia, what was your first reaction when you obviously it was at Sabac first, um, playing it that standard, and then obviously when you went to Novi Beograd, that the standard just is in
Yeah.
some ways completely different. You know, your first session, what was it like getting in the water?
Yeah. First of all, Shabac is a very small town with not a lot of things going on, and Belgrade is a completely different lifestyle, completely different town that you have everything what you need, and it's different. I think you cannot compare and say, oh, this is Serbia, Shabac, and Belgrade. No, it's like completely different. Like you're living somewhere else. And For me, everything was new again. But about the standards of and the level of playing, first of all, Vlado Vujasinovic was the coach that I saw in every young generation competitions with Serbian national team, and I admired him a lot. And many things that I've heard about him, that he's really like a doctor of water polo, that he knows everything, that you have to listen to his every word. And I was aware of him, and he actually gave me a lot, taught me a lot through a lot of painful training sessions and uh, a lot of toughness. But yeah, I mean, there were nerves, but not like I think I was kind of prepared for that by the time I went there. I had realized that I will be the only foreigner in the team, that I needed to show myself, that nobody knew me before, and yeah, everything went well. And I can say that I had a lot of freedom from Vlado and from the guys that accepted me from the first day until the last, and we had pretty nice season. We could win Serbian championships, obviously go further with the Euro Cup, but I think in the end, what we had and what cards we were dealt, everybody was happy and satisfied, and it was just one step forward for the whole club as an organization. And you could see the difference. Okay, we brought a lot of like Olympic gold medalists and amazing players, the top level players that were performing over the years on this level, and it just made more sense for the club to go there and try to win it all.
You came to the club as a foreigner. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure, particularly for foreigners, to play in any team. But with the project that's being built in Novi Beograd, um, how much pressure did you feel extra on top of that?
Yeah, the most nervous I've been was the first practice of the last year's team.
Hmm.
When I went to the practice and I see uh, the guys for the first time, it's okay. I'm a foreigner and they're new to the team, and I'm with the original team state, but still there are Serbians there, players that I was watching through the TV, television.
It's weird because
Yeah,
you were a player last season, and all these new players have come in, and yet you're still
yeah,
nervous about. By
yeah, yeah,
rights, you're the experienced one. You've been at the club for a year, and yet you still feel this way about
yeah,
five or
yeah.
six Olympic gold medalists.
But I can only say good things about them. That they really I felt home immediately, and I felt like they were just good people that knew a lot of things, obviously, about the sport, and accepted me as their own, and yeah, taught me a lot. I was listening to them. I'm still listening to them, and I'm trying to improve on some things. And I think it's this process was a beautiful thing that took a lot of pressure off me, even as a foreigner. I knew what coach was asking from me and what obviously all of them were expecting from me, and it helped me to go through with it. And as a team, we had a lot of obstacles that were slowing us down, but in the end, we showed the courage to go back on track and show the level of the team that was always there actually, and get some results.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I kind of mentioned it a little bit, but last season, for example, um, Vladimir Vujanovic was the coach, and then he left. Dejan Jovovic obviously was there for a short term before eventually being replaced by Igor Milanovic, who um, obviously a double Olympic gold medalist, one of the greatest players of all time. What was it like being coached by Igor? I mean, from the outside, people, he's quite a eccentric character. You know, the warm up he does before each game and things like this. You
Yeah.
know, he's always funny in an interview. Or he's always catching the attention. But what's he like to have day in day out as a coach? I mean, do you have any funny stories or anything that sticks with you during his time at the club?
Yeah, I mean, okay. First of all, I can say that I was blessed to have these coaches as a coach of my team. I've had a lot of great experiences with all of them, and learned a lot from all of them. So I'm pretty happy about it. The time being, I can say that I've been coached many different ways and many different styles. But to elaborate on Igor's staying in the club, it was only 3 months. But I think it's not only my words that we can say that he made an impact. And even now, we are remembering him as a great coach and as a great character. He has this energy that wherever, I don't know if it's a funny story, but wherever we go, you can notice Igor is there, and he is, you know, he is in the room. He has this aura with him, and it's a great thing for a coach also, that you feel the power, you feel the support of the coach. And for us, he was amazing. He turned around very hard season. We had many ups and downs, and with Igor, it was just a smooth sailing until the end. So yeah, I mean, I'm very happy, and I loved the time that I spent with him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you said last season, obviously, the Serbian Championship and the Regional League, not a bad season at all. A final of the Champions League, of course,
Yeah.
and of course, hosting the Champions League again this season. But generally, this season, what are you guys feeling? How are you looking forward to this season? Your favourites for Serbian League and Regional League again, of course, but the Champions League is obviously the big aim. There are no easy games in the Champions League, and I think you've got Ferencvaros, Marseille, Jug, Sabac, Spandau, your former team, and then I think
Yep.
probably like Brescia or someone like this. So the Champions League, how are you guys approaching this?
I think we didn't have a lot of time to prepare for the season because of the schedule that we were dealt with this World Championship and European Championship back to back. It was not a long preseason. I think we had only like 10 days that we used maximum as we could, but we are going step by step. We're not thinking about final eight of the Champions League or any particular game in Champions League. We have tough games also in regional league and in domestic championship for now, and we're focusing on them. When the time comes, I think we will get our priorities straight and we will set the goals that we need to do. But for now, we are just looking forwards to our next game, and the hopes are high. We believe in ourselves. I think we are even better team than last season, and yeah, we showed that in the games that we played up until now. But the real test will be the serious games that are coming, and we'll see. We'll see. We are hopeful that everything goes good.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully. And just before we take a break, what are you personally looking forward to this season? What are you hoping and expecting from yourself? Something to improve on, maybe, or over the summer? You've obviously had a really busy summer and a
Yeah.
successful summer, I would say, as well. Some really good performances with the Georgian
Thank
national
you.
team. I was looking at some stats from the European Championships. You were one of the top goal scorers in the Georgian team, but no one played more minutes than you at the Euros, which for a 23-year-old in a national team is really really impressive. So what are you hoping for to build on a really good summer for you personally this season?
Yeah, I have a lot of goals for this season, personal, and of course they're the same as the team goals. But personally, I want to improve on a lot of things. I think the performances I've showed, and thank you for the compliments again. I think there is a certain thing that whenever I play a good game, it doesn't mean that I reach that level. I try to think that it's a good performance that I need to keep up for the next game and the next tournament. So it's like constantly trying to improve and constantly trying to do some small things. For now, I would say I'm far away from what I want to be, but also it's helping the mindset. Mindset is helping me to be calm and trust the process that we are doing in here in Novi Beograd. And yeah, my goals are pretty high. I have my ambitions, but we'll see how it goes. For now, I'm hopeful that it will be as good as the beginning of the season. For now.
Yeah, I'm sure you will reach the high targets that you've set yourself. We're going to take a break now, and we'll come back in part two with some questions. Welcome back to part two of the Total Waterpolo Podcast, where I'm with Georgia's and Novi Beograd's left-hander Nika Shushiashvili. And this is the part, Nika, where we ask questions that people have sent in on social media. And it seems like everyone in Georgia has sent a question in this week. Our Instagram was packed with comments and questions. So apologies for anyone that we don't mention. Some of them are very similar, so we've kind of bunched them together. But before we ask the questions that people have sent in, Nika, I don't know if you know, but every week we always ask our guests to give their total seven. So a lineup of players, seven players. In your opinion, the best. They can be past or present. They can be players you've played with or against,
Yeah.
or totally different to that. Seven players, however you want to pick them. Um, the
Okay.
floor's yours.
Oh, I might be a little biased now, but
Seven Georgian players.
no, no. Wow, that's a tough question, but for me, okay, I will pick Madarash and Mandic on the right side. Wow, that's tough. Uh, Dushko Pietlovic on the center.
Yep.
Yeah,
Is he scary? He looks really scary.
I thought he was scary first time when I met him, but he's humble guy. He is amazing person and a great teammate to me. And no, he's definitely not scary to his teammates. To the
I wouldn't want to play against him.
yeah,
Really, like really.
yeah, like many opponents. No, obviously doing this for the period of time that he's doing over 20 years, being in national team and playing in club level, always on the top. It's not easy task to do, and I gotta give it to him. And it's definitely not because he's my teammate. It's more than deserved. Okay, left side. I let's. Wow, that's. Do I pick present players or
You could,
the?
however you like, but you can never have played against them, or you could, never have really. I mean, played with them or anything like this.
You know what? I will
Oh,
change.
we've
I
never
will
had
make a
anyone
change.
change. We've never had anyone
Because
change their
okay,
choice.
it's not something that I'm constantly thinking about, so I've never actually had a chance to evaluate my top seven. Okay, I will start from the left side. Obviously, Dushko stays on the center, and left side I will pick Varga, Danish Varga. Uh, wow, uh, Ivovic on the center back. Mandic and Vlahopoulos right side, the floor general, and maybe one more guy at left side. I will pick. Wow, that's Perone. I will pick Perone.
Yeah, of course. Who's
Okay,
going in goal?
and the goal. Uh, you know what? Uh, Nagi. Nagi.
Okay. Did you
Yeah.
ever play against him?
And I don't think I played against him. No,
No.
no, I didn't have a chance to play against him. But yeah, I mean, obviously, things that he was doing. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he has to be there.
You said Angelos Vlachopoulos, a great player, and last
Yeah,
season I really I just thought he was amazing, and he was amazing at the final eight competition. But he was also really good for Greece. But you have a quite special friendship with him. I understand that
yeah,
you and your wife and him and his partner. You're kind of like you go double dating quite often. Is that correct? Am my facts correct?
yes, they are. They are.
Yeah, and would you say he's one of your closest friends in the team?
I think our team is pretty close. But yeah, we have. I'm close with many of them, and we are a good group of friends overall outside of the pool. But yeah, he's one of them. Yeah, of course. These 2 years, he's been not only a friend, he's been a mentor to me, and he taught me a lot of things. So yeah, he's the way of thinking about the sports with his I don't know what it's amazing. You can understand the game. If you can understand the game, he's amazing. And I think if to be honest, I should have picked top 14 players, not seven, because seven is not enough at all. You can say you can change a lot of things and you can mix it up. And it's a pretty interesting question to me. But if we ever had a chance to talk next time, I think I will be more prepared to give you my final form. But I'm pretty happy with my team. I think they are not losing to anybody.
Yeah, yeah. Really, you don't have to worry.
No, no,
This is
no.
it's a difficult question. That's why we ask it. It can change, of course, but don't dwell on your total seven. It's a pretty good team, and I don't think there'd be many that could beat it. But anyway, we've got so many questions. All right, from a teammate, I guess. Andrea Bidadzi asks, what's your most memorable match which we have played together?
Ooh, memorable match.
And I mean, I guess
Yeah.
linked to that, there's another one on Instagram that says that's Welco underscore IVICC. And what's your favorite game in your career? So you've got two there. One, your most memorable match with Andrea, and then I guess another memorable match not with him.
Okay, I think I gotta pick split European Championships now against Holland, Netherlands. It was very important game for us
What
to
a
win.
stupid game! It was just a ridiculous game.
Yeah, I don't think it's the most beautiful game in the world. No, not at all. But yeah, but no. It's like the feeling of going in top eight teams in Europe was special, and I think we shared it with him. And I think it's for now this is the most memorable game with Andrea. Yeah, I think more to come in the future. And about the most memorable game of my career, there's a few actually. Uh, Personally, the joy I received of winning Adriatic League, Regional League, was amazing. Sharing it with teammates in Novi Beograd was amazing, and even though it looked um, like we were favorites to win it and all that, all the season it showed that we played draw against Primorac, we lost against Radnički, we were under the pressure until the end of the tournament. We got lucky that Radnički won against Jug, that we hosted the tournament. that was very important to us. It was like the main goal to host the tournament and win it in our pool, and we managed to do it. And the excitement of this game, I can never forget. Even though it's individually, I've had pretty memorable games, but as a team, as the feeling after the game, it's amazing for now. And we have a big picture on the pool. When you go inside, you can see us celebrating, sitting on the side of the what besides water, and yeah, it's just amazing. Even now, I think it was the most memorable thing for me last season. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Maybe you can do it again this year as well. Who
I hope
knows?
so. I hope so.
Okay, we've got some other questions here that I'm going to kind of group together. Noah Cannon 07 asks, Georgia has had impressive performances lately. What, if anything, are you doing differently? And kind of, I'm going to link this together with another one on Instagram from underscore Nico05. What do you think about Georgia's young players and about Dinamo Tbilisi's academy? So they're both about Georgia. They're both
Yep.
about recent times, about
Yep.
development, step forward. Are Georgia doing anything differently at the moment, or is it just years of work that are finally kind of paying off?
It's a lot of things together, but again, I would link it to Dinamo that is doing an amazing job. Their academy is good. You can see they have a lot of kids who are becoming good players and have a chance to practice abroad and play at a lot of tournaments. And young generations tournaments under 15, 16, 17 are good in Georgia. I think there are a lot of teams now, and they go in the regions to play in some other towns. That's good, and that would be the goal for the senior national championship as well, to be even more competitive on the world stage. But about national team, yeah, the coach has its plans. Dejan is very good for Georgia. He is using our team, I think, in a very good way. He gives us courage to play and gives us good motivation tactics and preparation to compete on higher level. And he sets the goals straight. It's never we never dream about something that we are not capable of doing, and we never go lower than we need to go. So I mean, for now, it's constant improvement, and I think it will the following years we will do the same. But yeah, I think it's a lot of things combined, and altogether it gives the results.
Do you think that Georgia at the moment? Do you think you're performing at the top of your capability? Do you think you're like outperforming what is possible of you, or do you think actually instead of it being a top eight in Europe, it can maybe be a top four or a top six or something like this? Do you think you're capable of that?
I think for this tournament in Split, we were capable of that. We could win against France. We could play better game against Montenegro, and you never know what will happen there. So yeah, that's a regret that we didn't manage to win against France in yeah in the not it was not the last game. It was the game before, but we are not overperforming. It's the level that we are. I believe so. It helps that our foreigners who are playing for Georgia a lot of years, they are teammates that we need. They are the level that we need. And Georgian youngs, they follow. They take their lead, and me including. So I think we can do a lot better, but also you can see that Serbia was not in top eight, so that's something that to consider. It will be not easy. We had a good group. We had a lot of things going on for our success, and yeah, to stay realistic, we could do better. But if we do result-wise worse next summer or summer after, it will not be something for a shock for us. For us, it's very important to perform in certain level, to play the games on a certain level, and to improve on that. And the results are just coming by itself, and they're showing where we are at the moment. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, good, good. Okay, we've got a slightly different question here now. It's quite specific, but Chua.Zhou asks, how was playing against Japan? How different was their style of play compared to the other teams? So I think you played against Japan at the World Champs
Yeah,
earlier this.
yeah, we did.
I think, sorry to bring up, didn't they beat you by, isn't it like 15-14 or something?
Yeah,
Fourteen
a one goal
thirteen.
difference. Yes, one
Yeah.
goal difference.
So obviously they beat you. Um, I don't mean that as
Yeah.
like a to rub it in or
No,
anything,
no.
but like how difficult, or not necessarily difficult, but how interesting was it for you to play against that kind of style of play? And
Yeah. It was actually my third time playing against Japan. We had one tournament, not so serious tournament, back in a couple years ago, let's say. Then we played in final eight of a World League, where we beat Japan by one difference, and we were prepared for that game. It was the first game of the tournament, and we managed to do it. But about World Championships, yeah, they beat us. We were realistically, we were very tired. Okay, I understand they were also, but it's very tough to play against them. Japanese pressing is something that is being considered by many teams in Europe also. Okay, they're not playing all the time like this, but playing over the ball, letting them sprint inside, and tactics like this are annoying. I can say that, and it's very tiring. For us, when you go in this kind of game, you expect yourself to win. But again, they are playing same with Australia, Serbia, same with Georgia, same with Romania, and same with Hungary. They are playing level, and they are always there. You never know. They may be losing 4 or 5 difference of the goals, and then they score it in 4 minutes, let's say. So it's strange. They are the only team that plays like this, and it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of concentration to not make one mistake and to not receive a goal 1-0 from them. But yeah, for the next game, we have a chip on our shoulders to play against Japan, and I hope we're gonna make our mistakes, less mistakes than the World Championships.
yeah, well, keep the close games coming because they're exciting to watch, and I think
Thank you.
Japan are a great team to watch. It's really cool to watch. Okay, we've got a question here from Sand Rockaz on Instagram who says, "What is, if you have one, what is your pre or post game ritual? Do you have like a process you go through before a game to prepare yourself, or after? Do you have anything?"
Thank you for the question. He's a good friend of mine, and
Yeah,
um, yeah, I think everybody has it. The ritual. I would not call it a ritual, but I'm doing the same warm up every time I go into the water, and before that also. I'm trying to during the day. I'm not trying to think about water polo. I'm not trying to get my head into it early on. And when I go on the pool and when I'm trying to concentrate, the situation in the team and the feeling of the game brings everything together. And yeah, I'm just doing my warm up, trying to do everything the same because I think what works for me, and maybe change up like couple laps if I feel a little bit tired or a little bit fresh. Depends. Before the game, you're always different, but more or less it's that. And yeah, I would say only that. Yeah, I think I don't have a specific ritual. That's it.
no. Do you after games, do you dwell on them? Do you think about them a lot? Do you go back and watch videos if possible? And are you very critical of what you did during a match, or do you not really pay too much attention personally, aside from when your team will have video analysis sessions?
You're asking after the game, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I try to watch the game. Yes,
yeah.
I go back if there is, and usually there is. Okay, Champions League and Serbian Championship, and yeah, every tournament we play, basically I try to find the game and watch, because the perception, the feeling that I have after the game is not always the correct one. I may remember something that I did wrong or right, and think of it like that. But if the time comes and we go to the discussion and team meeting, I'd like to be prepared and know my logic, what I did wrong and right. And yeah, I just watch the game before I go to sleep or the other day, whatever. But it's a totally different game when you watch it from the screen and when you play it and see it by your eyes.
Yeah, definitely. And is that something you'd advise to maybe younger players? Do you think that
Yeah,
that really helps you?
I think it was Lucas Gielen in Spandau that advised me to keep the notebook,
Hmm.
to write things down, some things that I remember from the practices and games, to always remind yourself about important things that you felt, not you've seen. And yeah, I would recommend it also to the young generations and to do that, to improve on your mistakes and remember them, because it's easy to blame on someone else. It's easy to say, I couldn't do that, I couldn't do that. But in the end, it's something that you have to do and you have to improve on. And yeah, that's it. I would advise to watch the games and to analyze, especially your bad games, not only your good games.
Yeah, that's really cool advice. The notebook and writing down what you feel, as much as writing down what actually happened, is yeah, that's good advice for any youngsters listening. We've got an interesting question here from Iosefa.Chuasao, who asks, did you ever think about playing water polo in college in the United States? Did you ever think about going
Uh,
to America?
Actually, not. I okay. It's I've had it on mind, but I never planned it, or I never went deep into that thought, because for me, America is too far away, and it's a completely different life. And actually, I've always wanted to go to Europe and do what I'm doing now. I've always dreamed of that, and yeah, even now, I can appreciate when people do that. One of my friends, one of my closest friends, played in UCLA, and he was very happy about it, and I was very happy about him also, because it's an opportunity you can use to implement your water polo and and study also in good university. And yeah, that's a good thing to do if it's your thing. But for me, it was never the priority.
Okay, okay, nice. Okay, well, we we normally finish asking our guests what they like to do when they're not playing water polo, which invariably is not that long amount of time really. But what do you do when you're not at the pool, or you're not watching yourself back, or writing in the notebook, or anything like this? What how do you relax?
Um, yeah, my wife jokes that I have a lot of hobbies, that I change them up all the time. First, it was COVID period, and I was playing chess, trying to learn chess. Then it was I don't know, like we had a bar stand, and I would make some cocktails. Obviously, watching TV, playing cards with friends, stuff like that is always present. But now I would say in Belgrade, we have, as I said, mentioned before, we have a lot good group of friends that we go to play paddle. That's the sport like tennis, maybe you know.
Yeah, yeah, I've
It's
been
yeah,
playing
yeah.
it.
It's amazing. It's good.
It's
I'm
really
very bad at it, but I'm trying to improve on it. We play bowling. We go to movies. We gather in someone's house. We try to enjoy the time alone, and of course, sleeping. That's the main thing for me. That during the practices, I need to get a quick nap and relax a little bit. But yeah, mostly it's or sleeping, eating, or active rest. That I change all the time.
chess, cocktails, paddle. Sounds yeah, it sounds like you need the rest. To be
Yeah,
honest.
keep it interesting a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, of course. In fact, I'm just getting a question on the feed now, actually. From sorry to go back to this, but Moto 8994 asks, "Do you like football?" Now, I have it on good authority that you do like football, and unfortunately, I've heard that you support Manchester United. Is that true?
It's correct. Yeah. Oh, actually, I was when I was kid, I was following football all the leagues that I could watch and all that, but I've stopped following them for many years, and now maybe 2 years ago I got back into it, mostly in Premier League and Champions League that I'm watching. And yeah, Manchester United was the club that I liked as a kid, and still the club that I hope will do better. And also in our team we're playing this Premier League fantasy.
Okay.
That's
All right. Okay. This isn't interesting. Maybe I should have asked you for your fantasy team instead of your total seven. But who's the best at that in your team at the moment? I'm really interested to see who would know the most about football.
we are combining some players from other Serbian clubs also, but in my team for now I'm first, not first, I'm fourth in the league, but first in my team for now.
Okay. All right. Well, Nika, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a really interesting talk.
Yeah,
You've spoken really well, and obviously best of luck for this season. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
thank you a lot for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
That was Nika Shushiashvili, a really, really talented young player in a really big club. And he gets better every time I see him, and I know he's got a really bright future coming up. So thank you very much for Nika for joining us, and of course thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode and you stick around for the next one. Don't forget that you can claim 10% off using the discount code podcast10 at wearwaterpolo.com, and if you can like us, review us, rate us, share us wherever you're listening to this podcast, that's massively appreciated by everyone at Total Waterpolo. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you next week. Bye bye.